Good morning, students. Today we will start with programming techniques. In our last class, we had done we had solved we had done a session on evaluation of unary operators in an arithmetic expression. Today we will start with general programming, but first of all of us have to understand that why we are learning programming using Java. See, there is there are so many programming languages that it is very difficult to for us to learn each and every programming language. But Java is one of the modern programming languages, and we can apply whatever technique we learn today or in the other future classes. You can apply in any programming language. Okay, so we will try to make the class as general as possible, but only when we are going to discuss solving of problems. At that time, we will have to refer to our Java programming language, because that is as per the syllabus of ICSE. So what we will do today is we are going to introduce or introduction to programming. This is your session today. Introduction to programming techniques. Techniques. So mind this word techniques. Whatever you learn today, which is related to how much we can cover, remember that that is common for any programming language. So we are going to learn programming techniques, and among these programming techniques, among all the programming techniques that we will cover, we will list down a few. For example, whatever is the problem that you are going to discuss, or whatever problems you will read, always ensure that you understand the question. Understand the question. You must understand the question. Then, once you are going to list the steps to reach the solution, that these steps can involve one, sequence means all the steps that we are going to carry out in order to reach the solution to the problem may be one after the other. Sequence means first step, second step, third step, fourth step in a sequence. What are you going to do in order to reach the solution to a problem? So sequence is one of the techniques, or sequential programming is one of the techniques. Number two is selection. Selection, this popularly known as decision. So one of these you have already seen. One of the techniques you have already experienced earlier when we discussed in one of our sessions regarding ternary operators. If you remember, ternary operators are those operators which are question mark and colon. So this question mark is used to evaluate an expression when the condition before it comes to true. And if this condition evaluates to false, then this is the expression. That means after the colon, pair of colon, this is what is going to be evaluated. So I hope you remember that discussion. Now we are going to talk about one more programming technique, and that is looping. There is nothing to fear, there is nothing to be worried about. When we discuss in our sessions here, we'll try to make it as slow and as as much in detail as possible, trying to explain to you what sequential programming is or programming technique is, what is selection or decision, and looping. So these are the points that we're going to cover today. as we just discussed, that when we talk about sequential programming, then first, why are you going to solve any or get any solution to which will be executed in a sequence? Because it all depends on the question that you read or the question that you are given. See, at the end of every chapter, there is a set of questions in the exercises, and the majority of the questions that students do not solve are the ones which come under the topic called Java programming. Okay, so this is the area of concern that I am going to discuss. The others will discuss in some other classes, but this is the main problem that, or the main area of concern. So that is why I've tried to make this session on Java programming and techniques. See, the questions that are given to you, whenever there's a question given to you, you are here and you get to see the question. First thing that you should do is read that question repeatedly. Once you read the question repeatedly, then you decide whether the solution will have some steps, because we are not going to solve a very difficult problem initially. We'll try to pick small easier problems, easy problems initially, and then we'll build up on that. So the solution must involve steps. You must first write down the steps, that what will be step number 1, what will be step number 2, what will be step number 3, what will be step number 4 and 5, and so on. So sometimes the problems don't require so many steps. Some problems require many steps. Some other problems, the ones that you'll come across at the end of this chapter, is questions which involve very less steps. And there are probably some 10 to 15 questions in Java program where all of them are sequential. So I think this is a very important class to cover the sequential approach to solving problems. So let's take for example, you are asked to display your name, and my name. That is the question. So you have to first see that this is the question. Now in the question, if they have asked you to display your name first, then in the solution also you have to ensure that your name is printed first and then my name is printed. I hope you understood that the question is display your name and then my name. So that is the question. So in the solution that you are going to write, the solution will be print your name, and then print my name. So these are the steps. So this is first step, that I have to print your name, and then second step is I have to print my name. So this is as simple as that. Sometimes you are not asked to print your name and my name, but you are asked, in the question it is asked that you input get name from user, then print. So the question is also telling you the steps, that first you have to get the name from the user and then you're supposed to print. So follow the steps from the question itself. So let us try to see how to perform this input. You have to understand first that when we are discussing sequential means stepwise approach to solving a problem. So sequence, first you must know some basic operations. And what are those operations? Those operations are input, output. They are related to input and output. So what are these basic input output operations? So these basic input output operations are: 1, you can perform input using the main method. So you can note, you can pause and write also. There is a input can be performed using the main method. Number two, input can be performed using the scanner class. Remember that scanner class is part of the ICSE syllabus. So you can use scanner class for interactive user input output. Okay. So this scanner class is used for, remember, interactive. Interactive means you get a prompt on the screen. You get a prompt on the screen where you are asked that, okay, enter your name, and then you punch or you type from the keyboard your name. So that is how this that is what is the purpose of scanner class. There is one more pair of classes which are also used. For example, there is input stream reader and buffered reader. So these are also uh, classes or pair of classes which are also used for the same purpose. Interactive input. This is not interactive. Here you will not get a message on the screen that, okay, punch your name and please enter your name. No, this is not interactive. These two methods are interactive. That means the program will interact with the user. So this is the first thing that must be clear to you, because most of the questions I will read out also, or at the end of this chapter also you will see that there is a portion which is mentioned as Java programming, and it is mentioned that get the input from the user. Ask the user to enter the basic pay, and then you calculate the house rent allowance, the other allowances, deductions, and then perform and calculate, display the gross pay, net pay, and so on. So all these questions that we are talking about will require input. But which input method will you use? So you can use any one of these input methods. This is very simple for practice at home. This is much more easier because it consumes less time. But this is not interactive. But these two methods are interactive. So we will see one problem using all these techniques. One problem using all these techniques. So it will become very clear to you that which one you should use. There were some recently we have solved some assignments which are provided from the school, and we saw that we could use any of the techniques. So let's take a question like input name from user and display it So this is the question. So let us see the first style, which is non-interactive, which is using the main method. So this is how you will write. First of all, you must write the class. So you write class, say input, and here you write public static void main, and remember what was the question? Input name. So name is the data type of name will have to be what? String. So you take it the name of the variable as n. N is a meaningful name for a variable because n can stand for name. Then inside what you do, you say system dot out dot print n. So see how simple it is. Very simple. So the first technique was to perform input output. We did input output. The input is performed here and the output is performed here. This is the output. So after noting this down, then you see how another technique is also there. For that purpose, I am erasing this again. This will be a slightly longer technique, but we can't help. First, you have to write import java dot util dot star, or you can write there scanner. So there is an option. If you write star, then all the classes which belong to the package utility will be imported, And if you write specifically the scanner, then only the scanner class will be imported for your program. So this is the import statement. So I'm not erasing this, I'm leaving it there as it is. So it's up to you, a choice whether you want to write star or you want to write scanner, both are acceptable. And there is semicolon at the end. Then what you write, class input, then public static void main. Now students, notice here I've left this blank. I've left this area blank. Why? It's not mandatory that you always have to mention something here. We mention when we mention in our previous program, we mentioned here string n. When we want to pass an argument through main while executing, we can pass. Or it is usually this portion of or this part of the program or the pair of parentheses is important when you want to perform command line arguments. Command line input, you want to provide input from the command line. So that is another, we'll make a separate video for that, how to perform input using the command line. So there, during that time, it is required that if you want to perform input through command line, only then you can write here string args and a pair of box brackets. Okay, so why do you mention this? Because from the command line we can type all the arguments along with the name of the program, and each and every argument which are separated by spaces will go into different pockets or elements of this variable args, which is not an ordinary variable, but this is an array variable. So an array variable is capable of storing multiple values in it of type string. Later you need to convert them if at all required, and then perform your manipulation or calculation. But at this moment, for this particular program, you don't need it. For majority of programs, you don't need it. So you can always leave this part blank. Then, after writing public static void main, now you need to write scanner sc equal to new scanner system dot in. So this will become clear for many students who have not yet attended a class where they have discussed scanner. So here we are trying to create this. I'll explain to you the statement. It means sc is an object. sc is an object of scanner class. Okay, and it is allocated. Sc is the object. It is the object, and this object is allocated memory. It is allocated memory. Why does this fellow need memory? See the keyword here. New means what? New is a keyword to perform dynamic allocation or dynamic memory allocation. But then if you allocate memory also, what is the purpose? Purpose is not just to allocate memory. Purpose is to link it with the input device. So that is why we have mentioned here system.in. So what does system.in mean? System.in means standard input device. Who is your standard input device? The standard input device is your keyboard. So that means any input that you are going to perform, when it is an interactive input, then the program will print on the screen, but you will punch through the keyboard. That is from where you will provide the input. So that is the reason why we have connected the object sc to whom? To the input device. Let's continue. I think it is clear to you now why we have mentioned here. Now, the next thing is declaring the variable n, and then asking, this is an interactive program, remember, so we are writing system.out.print, enter name, Then you write n is equal to sc dot next. So this is how you input your name. Remember, whatever you have mentioned here is the same variable that you will use here. If you have used the name here OB, then please write here OB. So this is important to remember. Then after this step, what do you need to do? Print it. So this is a slightly lengthy program as compared to the previous one, which is very easy, right, students? Please maintain the indentation. Please maintain the indentation when you write the program. You see, I have written everything from almost this. I consider this as my left margin, and you will notice that we have written I here, written below that C here, the opening brace is here, the closing brace is here, public static void main, the opening brace is here, closing brace is here. Whatever is the body of the main function, the content is written slightly inside. Why? So that it's very easy, like for a teacher to perform correction, to correct your copy, to correct your programs. It becomes very easy, because they will just look at, okay, we have one opening, we have a close, we have an opening, we have a close. So this is the body. So what is the body? So they will check. So this is the second method. Now let us look at the third one, and then we'll take up some questions. So remember that whatever we have done here is, the approach is sequential, but still we have not solved any major question which is of sequential in nature. We'll do that, don't worry. So the third one is using buffered reader and input stream reader. So import java dot io dot star. So this is more robust in nature, this technique of input. So we have class input, we have public static void main. As I told you, this will be written, whatever you want to write within this pair of parentheses, if at all you want to write string args, will be written only when you require command line argument. Otherwise that is not important. Okay? And then you write throws IO exception. So this is very important. Mentioning this, we'll discuss. Then you have input stream, mind the case, input stream reader, new input stream reader system dot in. Again, say, just like the scanner class where we created an object and we connected to the input device, here also we have done a similar approach, but then we've taken another object of the buffer reader class and we have connected this object OB, okay, buffered reader, to the object of the input stream reader class. So that is how we are going to perform the input. So basically the stream, this ISR is a flow of data which is going to come to OB. So this is the flow and this is the object where the data will come. Once the data comes, remember that the data is in form of raw form, and remember that interactive input in Java, which is not internet programming in a form, like we know that in Java you can write both applets as well as standalone program. So this, our focus here for our syllabus for ICSE is not applets, but our focus is standalone application. For standalone applications, the input in Java is very difficult, because it uses so many classes for different techniques. Like you saw the scanner, but the first one you saw was a very easy one. But moment we want to perform anything which is interactive, then it becomes a little bit complex. So Java does not have any very simple method of performing input output. So what it does when we use the input stream reader, first it connects an object to the input device. Then from the input device, whatever input will come in the raw form means string form, and that will come to this fellow, and this will then have to be converted. So we will see how this at all if are required to be converted. So first what you do, you take string n, then you ask system dot out dot print, enter name, and then you say n equal to ob dot read line. So this will directly, whatever it has read, ob has read from the string that has been sent as an input, which is, for example, you write John. So this is a string of characters, string of characters. So entire thing is being assigned to whom? N. So we just print after that system dot out dot print N. So don't forget, exactly below this you close, exactly below this you close. So we'll end this short session here, and we'll record another session for the part 2, which is to help you solve some problems from this chapter.